Welcome back. We are here with Alan Valenzuela from Alliance Physical Therapy. He's going to get us moving this morning. Last time you were here, Alan, you gave us some exercises for hip pain. Today you're going to add to that, right?
I am. I'm going to add some exercises that are a little more aggressive than what I showed last show. I'm not particularly personally fond of these.
And yet you're going to put us through them.
And you'll see why in a second. But this is the point of why we should be doing these type of activities, because we lack the normal functional mobility that we should have, and that creates pain.
Okay.
And so if you do some of these activities, and you don't have to do them with weights. These are done a lot in the gym with weights, but you can do these without weights to just improve the mobility of your pelvis, your low back mechanism.
Okay. Yeah. I asked you last time you were here if this hip pain and stiffening, I guess, if you will, is part of what happens when you run. If you don't do circuit training, if you do the same exercise over and over and over, even though it's beneficial to you in some ways, it's hurting you in other ways, isn't it? Because you're not utilizing all of your muscles?
I don't know. I think circuit training, I like circuit training personally. The question is whether you're doing enough dynamic movement to improve the elongation of tissue. So if all I'm doing is bench pressing all the time and I never really do any long arm stretching of a muscle, that muscle is going to stay within the movement that I normally do with it.
Okay.
So it's always good to take movements that take you through full ranges to elongate that tissue so that you have normal functionality of that joint. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and yes, it does make sense. I'll have a question for you, but I'll let you show me the exercises first.
Okay, so I've got 4 exercises. Now, my favorite exercise here is the squat, and we'll do it last, and I do those regularly with weights. And before I do my squat, I do some warm-up exercise, so that's what this is going to be. Okay. But the first one we're going to do, and the one I want to lead out with, is actually, it affects your pelvis, it affects your hips, but it's a simple toe touch. In the gym, if you're using weights, we'd call it a deadlift. Okay. Now, the more your knees are straight, the more you're going to feel this in your hamstrings. So it's going to look like this, pretty much.
Okay.
My back is straight, back straight, up touch, and I'm coming up. Now, that strains my hamstrings very badly, and it's a really horrible feeling. It's a nerve stretch.
So you don't have to feel bad if you can't get all the way down.
So, and not just that, you'll want to start knee bent.
Okay.
And you can see how much further I can get by doing that. So it's a slow movement again. We're just going. And as you get better with it, you can straighten those knees out, and you'll feel more and more pull in those hamstrings and glutes.
When you start doing this at home, the key is to keep that back straight?
So here's the thing. So when I just did it, I did a little more arch on the second time.
Yes.
So either way, so if I'm stretching, I'm doing a forward flexion of the trunk, then there's more stretch up the spine. If I'm doing a back extension of the trunk, there's going to be less extension up the spine and more here in the low back and hips. Okay. Which means it'll reduce your movement.
Okay, but you can kind of play around with it too, right? Because whatever feels good to you, that's your area.
So the rule here is stay in pain-free ranges to warm up, and as you start feeling it break free, push a little bit further, push a little bit further in repetitions. And repetitions, can be anything. Use common sense with that. So 20 repetitions, 30. I like high repetitions. I like dynamic movements to stretch tissue.
Okay, what you got next?
Okay, so next one, let's talk about sidestepping. Okay, so your sidestepping is going to affect your hips totally, but especially it's going to affect the inner thigh muscles. Okay, your adductor muscles. Okay. Again, not a favorite of mine, and you'll see why here. I don't have a whole lot of hip mobility, so you're going to want to stand feet apart, okay? And you're going to go from one side to the next, and you're going to do a slow movement, okay? So you're bending. Now you can keep your foot down, your bottom goes out, come back up, and then switch to the other side.
That helps you with your core too, doesn't it, Alan?
Oh yeah, it's going to affect anything in your core, hips, glutes. And again, if all you can do is this, then just do this to start with.
But wouldn't that be beneficial too, to keep you like to help with gravity issues, to keep you centered from like fall risks and that kind of thing?
So obviously these tend to get aggressive when it comes to somebody who doesn't have good stability. But I always say that I don't care how old you are, push yourself to your limit, because the reason why most of us can't do things when we get older is we stop moving. So start small and then start doing things you didn't think you could do anymore, and you'll find out what you can do again that you were doing before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense to me.
Okay. All right, so our next movement is going to be a split squat. Okay. Now what I like about this movement is you can actually create two platforms. Like if you were in the gym, you could put a big weight here, and stand on them, and now you've got a split squat.
Okay.
Now the reason why you might want to use the platforms is because you want to go down deeper than your body will let you if you're on a level surface. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm up higher, my
push
knee
it.
will go down further.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
so the
that does.
higher I'm up, the further down I can go.
Got it.
So nobody's going to want to do that. So if you're doing this movement, again, it's a slow movement, and your knee is going straight to the floor. Okay? Back is staying straight, and you're coming down to the floor. Now, if this is all you can do, then this is all you need to do. Okay?
That is such a not easy thing to do.
No, mobility, strengthening, stretching, but then you want to get to where you can get down to the floor with your knee, and if you're elevated, you see how much further down you could get, and you get a nice good stretch, especially in your calf muscle here. So back up.
And that's one you could do holding onto a chair.
Exactly. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought it. Counter or chair, that's a movement that you can do. Any of these you can pretty much do in front of the sink. So going off the side, hold onto the sink.
Just move
you're doing squats, exactly. All of these you can do.
You can watch 3 + you and do it. Okay.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
and then you have a regular squat too?
Okay, so the squat is it's a basic squat. Again, you want to keep your back straight when you're doing the squat. You want to move slowly. So I like feet apart. Find a comfortable range for yourself. I like wider, because wider really kicks in those glutes and really stretches those internal rotators as well. So as you're coming down, you're moving slow. I like elbows out. You can have a weight in your hand if you want. So if you're a type person that likes to do squats but can't put a bar on your back, use a weight, a dumbbell in your hand, hold it close to your chest. And so the movement is here. It's nice, slow movement, and you don't have to go all the way down, but the goal is to get all the way down. So if you can't get all the way down, but you want to push, grab a hold of that sink, squat all the way down, and get down, because when you get down low on this is when you really feel the stretch in your hip flexors. And people who have difficulty with balance, it's because their hips don't function and move the way they should. And that is the #1 exercise that you can do to mobilize your hips so that you have better stability when you're walking.
Okay, so I talk a really good game, and I'll fully admit it. I am like everybody watching probably, where my day is jam-packed full of stuff.
Right.
I have a to-do list when my morning starts. Maybe if I'm lucky, I do half of it. And I am not good to stretch. Yet, my 90-year-old mother every day begins her day with 45 minutes of physical therapy that she's been doing over the years. She just does it habitually. I guess that's the OCD in her coming out. But when watching you, I'm thinking, okay, I won't do it in the morning before I leave for my day. But I could do this while I'm cooking supper. I could do this when I'm watching a TV show with my husband at night. These are things you can do easily within your home, correct?
They are, and they're things you can do at work, even, for that matter. So, but here's what I say to what you just said. It's got to be your health has got to be your #1 priority.
That's right.
So not to go above what you just said. I got up at 5 this morning knowing I was going to do the show with you. I started my workout at 5:30. I finished my workout at 7.
And then you were here.
I prioritize that time, and I do every morning. because I know that I can't function if I'm not on the top of my game.
But the point is we give you Alan's contact information. You can prioritize your day in whatever means works for you.
Yeah.
If you can't get up at 5 o'clock, but you
Absolutely.
can do it at 7 o'clock at night, as long as you're finding time
Absolutely.
to move in your day,
Yeah.
make it work for you. 10 locations of Alliance Physical Therapy. NoPainPT.com is the website, and there is their phone number as well. As Alan has said before, they're direct access, so you can make an appointment on your own. We're back after this.
If you get injured and need a lawyer, you need to know not all lawyers are the same.
We are board certified, which means we carry a big stick.